Another Sunday, another case of the scaries to start your work week. Welcome to the newest edition of the Sunday Scaries, where we have all your gore, lore, and more, covering all the latest horror happenings, slicing open all the latest horror news, and dissecting it bit by bit, finding all of those juicy innards. Pour yourself a nightcap and turn on your fright light while we take you on a tour of terror. And yes, we are back here with myself, and there he is, Dylan. We haven't done this in a hot minute, so
No, we have not. This is definitely it's been a while, and we've been talking about making this a live show. I think you pitched that like last year, maybe the year before that.
yeah, it was something. I think we're always sitting here behind the scenes, kind of racking our brains, thinking of what we can do, and we always enjoyed doing something like this. And then it was like, hey, well, we have a bigger audience now, and a year ago then, and now even bigger audience now. So it's kind of like, well, maybe we have some audience interaction for the live show here. So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I'm excited. We also aren't alone. Obviously, we have our buddy Adrian here. He is does not have a camera at the moment, but he'll get one. But he's going to basically be as playing our producer. So that's kind of how we're doing this. This switching off with the camera. So that way it's a little different than like our standard normal, just two windows and a background kind of thing. We thought this would kind of, help differentiate things, kind of change the pace a little bit. So Adrian, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself. I know you've made some appearances on the channel before.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, sir. It is Adrian, production guy, host, the Jamie of the show here. We got to get to 60K monthly subscribers for this face reveal. I'm just kidding, of course. I'll be on next time, but yeah, glad to be here. Thanks for having me on, boys.
There we go. 60K for a face reveal. Yo, we got the Merkins in chat. What's
Always
going
lovely.
on? And we got that's
2
happening. Hey,
a.m.
Maxine, 2 a.m. Thank you for hopping on. What is up? And then we got King Matthew III. What's going on? Welcome. Yeah, so this is going to be every Sunday. 9 p.m. is what we're shooting for every Sunday. We're going to be on here talking horror news, talking all kinds of stuff. We'll have guests and things like that pop up in and out of things every once in a while. But yeah, I've just been real excited to get this thing back off the ground. And, Luke also recommended, because originally Sunday Scaries, that was a morning show. So we would release it every Sunday morning for those of you who weren't subscribed to us. Like, has it really been 2 years since we stopped doing that, Luke?
I think it's been, if not full 2 years, close to 2 years, because I know we were doing it, and then it was just the juice wasn't worth the squeeze at the time. I mean, we always love doing it just because there's so much horror news out there, and we don't want to always make a billion videos for every week. So it was something where we were trying to do it, just didn't really work out. So we had to put it on the back burner for a little bit. But yeah, I think it's been close to 2 years now, just because we really couldn't make it work. But now we're here.
Yes, this is definitely one of those things. And then also for those of you who know us from Beyond the Splatter Graves, obviously we do that show. We just rebooted that back up last week. So next, I think we're going to be shooting for Tuesdays now, right? Yeah, next Tuesday we will
7.
have. Yep, Tuesdays. Actually, we're going to go back to 7. It was 6 last time. Point is, that was a messier show, but there's a lot more guests and stuff to work into that. But we got that one figured out. So once that was in the bag, I was like, let's hop on Sunday Scaries. So yeah, it's been great to finally get back to this format, because yeah, I also love talking about horror news. And of course, whenever we have really big stuff like announcements, trailers, you're still going to get our singular reactions for that. But we figured this could kind of just be a grab bag of stuff. So there's that. But let's see, King Matthew, you got on here. I've seen a rumor that the Halloween game is in development by Gun Media, who made the Friday the 13th game. Well, I think Gun Media still, because they also did Texas Chainsaw Massacre, correct, Luke? Do you remember if they were a part of that? Yeah. So I think they kind of jump between franchise and franchise. But I'm okay with that, I guess, because I think people really like these kind of games. I don't see the staying power as much with these asymmetrical ones, but for me, I don't think a horror game is gonna ever like actually be something I want to play until it's like story based. Like that's the thing for me.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm always looking for a great story. I think the novelty wears off for those ones, and they're fun at first, but we had some good times with Friday 13th way back when that one first came out. But it's just like there's only so much you can do with those games, especially if you don't have a ton of people to play with, and it just kind of gets a little bit of a samey. But Halloween would be rather interesting if we ever went story based with that one. I think you could have a lot of fun with it, especially with the lore that's already established. Or we talk about it on the channel all the time, just Haddonfield kind of going a little bit loopy with the whole Michael Myers, all that stuff, Season of the Witch, stuff like that, where you could really play with that, just the town going a little crazy. I think would be a lot of fun if we went story based, but it seems like they're really doubling down on that asymmetrical kind of horror games right now.
I think it's just because of the streaming culture. I really think that's probably the main thing with that, because it's such a communal experience, and I do see people love that stuff. I mean, the Merkins is in chat here. He's done it quite a bit on his channel. So it's one of those things where he could probably attest to that those games really bring people in and also attract a lot of viewers. So that's why I would think they would lean towards that. But I don't know, man. I think like if we could get almost like a hit. Have you ever played the Hitman games, like the modern ones? Has anybody played those in chat?
No, I've only played the way back when Hitman games. I'm not much of a gamer, but
gotcha.
No.
Gotcha. Adrian, have you played the Hitman games by chance?
Oh yeah. I mean, Hitman kind of reminds me of Max Payne a little bit, but
yeah, same, general concept.
Yeah. Back in the day, couldn't afford Hitman, so was just playing the demo off the Xbox Marketplace.
There you go. I feel you. So where I was going with that is I like the idea of those where it's very stage focused. So it would kind of be like if we did it in this instance, you would play as Michael Myers and you would be dropped into a map that's just Haddonfield Memorial, and then you basically have to get through, and your real mission is to find and kill Laurie Strode, let's say, and you have to get through the hospital without being seen, sneaking around, pulling people in for kills, try to get as many kills as you can, and then obviously once your mission is complete, get out of there without being seen. That would be perfect for a Halloween game. Like that would be like the best setup you could do, and you could make them really challenging and have different levels and different things pulling from the entire franchise. That's just my opinion on where I think a good Halloween game would be.
We just need Paul Rudd in his rune stones. That's all we need for a great Halloween game, I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I actually I was just messing with my rune stones because I have my part 6 NECA figure back there. I don't have all the lights on right now just because I'm reshuffling a few things for the upcoming video that I'm working on, the next topic video. I wanted to make it look a little bit different back there, so forgive me for that. But yes, the Merkins pops in here saying, yeah, Halloween game would be dope though, and gun is the move. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, like, I think that they definitely have a track record. If people love those games, they're not really for my heart. They're not something that I fully, get down with, but it's something where it's like, I can't deny that there is a large sect of the horror community that just loves those kind of games. So who am I to sit here and shit on them, right?
I would, as we're talking about it, I know no one's going to be surprised by this, but if we did some sort of Halloween 3 kind of game, I think that would be
what would the objective be like that? Maybe it could be like Overcooked. If anybody's ever played that, I know Adrian has, where you have to do
like around, cook stuff.
Yeah, like you're cooking stuff, you're plating stuff, but in this one you're making masks.
That would be
you
great.
have to run through the factory floor.
Line. That would be wonderful. That would be. I've watched it. My wife watches streams, of that stuff, so I've seen it. But I think that would be a lot of fun. Even in the Silver Shamrock Factory, doing something with that, like how you just pitched Haddonfield Memorial. I think that could be a lot of fun, just using the Halloween 3 as the backdrop. It's something everyone always talks about it. We haven't gotten anything overly, reestablishing that lore. But if we did a video game with that, and then if we got our boy, I'm forgetting his name right now, Night of the Creeps. What's his name?
Damn, what is it? Yeah, no, I got you.
If we got him in the game, that would be a wonderful appearance.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. That's I'd like that. I think that'd be fun. It almost seems like you'd want to have that as like a mini game. We're talking about Tom Atkins, by the way.
There we go.
Yeah, it's almost like you wanted a mini game in the Halloween game, just like that. That'd be dead, because I don't think it would take much to do that. I was gonna bring up, since we're on the topic of video games, the Terrifier game had a demo come out recently, and I have not played
Ooh.
it, but that's a little fun throwback kind of thing. And I've seen a lot of gameplay of it, and it looks really fun. Like I'm a lot more for these kind of like 2D platformer throwback games, just because I think they've done some really cool things with them. But this one to me just looks like it's going to be the best. I think this one's going to be a lot of fun. I'm actually definitely considering doing some kind of like a streaming thing for it, even if it like bombs on the channel, because you know how YouTube is when you try to switch formats. But I was definitely very intrigued. If anybody else has seen those.
That's the arcade game, is that correct?
Yes,
That
arcade.
looks like a lot of fun. I love when they kind of just go a little off the wall with it. I love the design of it and just the way it looks. I mean, Terrifier, good gosh. I can't believe we're here talking about a game that's
Right?
been out of Terrifier after when we first initially watched that first film. But man, marketing for Art the Clown has just been absolutely wild. I'm excited about this. I haven't played anything with it either, but it looks like a lot of fun. It just visually, it looks like it taps into what you want from a Terrifier video game.
Oh yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's definitely one of those things where they are leaning into the fun and goofy nature of Art the Clown, but like looking at the gameplay, dude, like they definitely bring the gore. There's a lot of dismemberment, there's a lot of splattering skulls and stuff, so it's definitely still in line with the franchise for the most part. But like I also think that having that kind of tongue-in-cheek throwback nature to it is just perfect. And it also, I think, makes the game that much more accessible, because I think there's still a large sect of like older folks, like people who are a little bit older than me, who like just won't pick up a controller anymore because they're just too intimidated by all the UI and how everything changes and how you got to do that and stuff. So it's like having this, I think you open that like older market up as well.
Yeah, I like story-based video games, but I'm not much of a gamer anymore. So back when I was really into it, I loved that story-based stuff. So, especially if you get into something in deep in horror lore, I think it could be interesting. But I'm more inclined to play something like a Super Nintendo rather than PlayStation 5 at the moment, just because you can put in that cartridge. It's really disposable. You can
So
just play,
simple.
have fun with it.
Mhm.
And, I think that is, Dylan, you talked about streaming culture and asymmetrical games. I think, being able to just play around of something and being able to kill someone or just have a pretty, pretty self-explanatory objective where it's nothing too in-depth. I think, getting that aspect of it, and certainly this arcade game looks like it is really Super Nintendo-esque, and I think it could just be a lot of fun. And I think that's what you need. I think we could get a story-based Art the Clown game down the line. I don't think we need it right now. I think this one really just hits that sweet spot of just having fun with it, tapping into that gore, and just the visuals here look like a lot of fun.
I don't know, man. I think for Art the Clown, like this is kind of it for me as far as video game appearances. I mean, I'll take whatever I can get to see what they can do, but I won't expect the world, because I think Art the Clown is best suited as like a cameo character in games. Like he has that skin in Call of Duty. So like whenever I see Art the Clown running around slashing people up in clips and things like that, it's like I get a chuckle out of it every time. So it's like just put him in like all the popular ones, Fortnite, all that stuff, and just let him live out like that. I think that's the appropriate spot for him.
And I think right now, that's where I'm at with it, but I can easily see myself backtracking in 5 years when Terrifier 4 is done and we haven't seen Art the Clown in a very long time. It's
True.
like, hey, we don't need anything for the actual film franchise, but hey, maybe we can get a video game with some sort of lore establishing something or just having something fun, just a side story with it. Like I could easily see myself saying that. I don't think we need it at the moment either, but the beauty of video games is they're getting so cinematic and they have a lot of great stories out there with different properties. So, I mean, maybe that would be an avenue down the road. Yeah, certainly with Terrifier 4 coming out, we don't need anything in overabundance of lore for Art the Clown at all. But I think maybe that could be a route down the line. But right now, I think the arcade game just really does hit that sweet spot.
Agreed. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But that's the world of video games. I think we should at least ask Adrian, because he's actually working on kind of like a throwback kind of what would you call it? Is it 8-bit, 16-bit? I don't know my shit.
Well, technically it's like 16 or 32-bit, but if y'all ever played like Pokemon Fire or the Legends of Zelda games on the Game Boy and stuff like that, I've always been in love with that art style. And, games like Lethal Company inspired me to make a dungeon crawler where you got a flashlight, you're going through a super like tight, dark space. And it's kind of interesting because the nature of the jump scare is that, you're using your eyes, you're using your ears, trying to figure out if you're alone or not. And then you might turn around the corner and boom, see something. Well, when you're playing a video game and it's a bird's eye view, you know what I mean? You don't always have that effect. So, having kind of like a flashlight feature, like Among Us, for example, you couldn't really see like through the walls, but you could see around the corners. Something like that would be really cool. And I just looked up that Terrifier video game. That 16 or 32-bit art looks super cool. I'd be very excited to play that personally.
Yeah, I think that's like kind of the draw for a lot of people these days, just going back to kind of the more simplistic. I think there's something like it's equal parts nostalgia, but also I think, again, the simplicity of the game and just kind of making it more about like, actually enjoying it rather than trying to be like, oh, we have the most superior graphics, we have the most superior, sound design and actors and all this stuff. It's like, no, just keep it simple and fun and just make this a gory good time. And I think that would be a kick-ass release. At least I'm hoping. And again, the demo came out recently. People loved it. So that was kind of, I think, where at least my excitement lies for now. But since we're here, why don't we dive into some of the bigger stories we wanted to knock off the list here? Obviously, if you guys have a topic or something you want us to discuss, feel free to throw it in the chat and we will definitely get to it as we kind of, in between major stories and as we wind down the show. I definitely want to take more questions and, just kind of hang out. This is really what the show is going to be. It's more just news, current events, and just hanging out. So share your thoughts. But Luke, why don't you take us away with the first big story of the week?
Well,
Last week, 2
yeah.
weeks ago.
Yeah,
We're just starting.
normally we'll be a little more time sensitive with our stories, but we've had such a long layover. We're kind of just picking and choosing some. Now, a lot of these are pretty recent, but this is probably the oldest story that we have. Of course, we're talking nostalgia and established horror properties. We got to talk Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and of course, there's been reported a bit of a bidding war for the rights, and several popular names are in the running, at least as reported right now. So a lot of just talent that is attached to this or could be attached to this could produce some interesting stories. Osgood Perkins is a name that has been thrown around, teaming up with Brian Bertino. That would be co-writing the script as well as potentially directing a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, some sort of reboot there. And then also Jordan Peele's Monkey Paw is in the running as well as Taylor Sheridan, which everyone knows him from Yellowstone, a handful of really great films. So I don't know. This one has a lot of names that I would not have expected right out of the bat, being interested in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But it certainly gave me goosebumps to know that a lot of this talent is interested in Texas Chainsaw Massacre and bringing this back to the big screen. Because what was the Netflix one? Was that in 2022 or 23? 22. Man, I know some people, I don't know, might have a soft spot for that, I think, but did not hit with us. At least I know 100% did not hit with me. Dylan, I think you're still on the same boat as me.
Yeah, no, I wasn't big on that. What's up, Shiny? How you doing, Shiny 311? Glad y'all are live. Well, thank you for joining us. But yeah, I wasn't huge on it. It's just so hard for me to really take any Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie serious, and that's coming from a fan of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. So I adore the first film. It's a perfect horror film in my opinion, and it's one of those things for me where it's like, after the remakes in the early 2000s and those actually being pretty good, I just don't know what the hell they've been doing with this franchise. Like, so many of these entries are just reboot, rekindling, reimagining. It's just all over the place. And it's like, bro, like, come on. Like, let's do something like at least interesting with it. Like, pick a lane, pick it up, and let's go. But they always go for the bottom of the barrel, same old, same old.
And it just seems like such a struggle. With Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's not an in-depth story. I mean, it has a potential that you could really go down a couple different avenues and expand upon that lore if you wanted to. But if we're talking about a reboot or just bringing these characters back for some particular instance, just to get them back on screen and refamiliarize them with an audience, maybe a newer generation that it doesn't have that love for Texas Chainsaw Massacre if we're getting further removed from that initial release, or even the ones in the early 2000s. I think you can just develop a really basic story. You look at, everyone will talk about Ty West's X and how well that kind of tapped into the DNA. And it wasn't anything overly in depth. Yeah, he produced two other installments following that X film, but at the time it was just that film, and it really harkened to the tension and to just that kind of what Texas Chainsaw Massacre is that it feels kind of disgusting in a sense, which is what I think a lot of people love about it. And that's really what you just have to bring to it. Yes, exactly. Sweaty Texas heat. That's what you need. Yeah. And that's really what you just have to do to at least bring this in, to really make people from the originals from the 70s really enjoy a film when you bring it into the modern era. But it just seems like, I don't know, people maybe get into their own heads, and we find ourselves with Leatherface on a bus and everyone taking their phones out and
even though that was the best scene of that movie. Like you can't deny that scene was awesome when he's just slicing people up.
Certainly the most memorable. It was just like, I remember sitting back watching that and thinking, my gosh, this is where we're at with the franchise right now, is a bunch of teenagers holding their phones and videoing Leatherface, and yeah, he does tear some people apart, but I don't think I could ever get over just that moment that's burned in my brain.
Yeah, for me, the moment that sticks out is the ending with the Tesla going on self-driving, and then she gets her head cut off, and it's just like that face, the CGI. It's like, oh my Lord, what are we doing? Yeah, not a great outing. Definitely not the best, but it's got its fans, and I respect that. I think take what you can get, and I am, interested to see where this goes. I just hope it doesn't just go to Blumhouse, because it seems like that's where every horror franchise is almost defaulting, going straight to Blumhouse. It's like, let's not do that. Like, let's kind of keep it a little bit spread out here. Because again, personally, I'm not looking for the Avengers of slasher films. I don't think we ever need something like that. But I certainly think that we need to get different styles, different voices on these bigger properties. So this could be encouraging depending on where this ends up. But let's see here. We got Mama Mayhem. The Netflix movie was, yes, sacrilege. I agree. That was that was not great. And we got Artie. What's going on? Hello, gents, men's, and happy almost Monday. Yes, yeah. Unfortunately, that's what the title of the show is, my boy. The Sunday Scaries, because everybody's no one's looking forward to Monday. I don't think anybody's really looking forward to that. Are you? If you are, hey, what are you doing? I want some of it. Then we got Penelope here. Hey guys, hope your weekend was good. What's going on? Yeah, my weekend was actually really good. I actually, since we're just casually talking before we talk into the actual story here, I went and saw Ballerina last night, the new John Wick. It's very good. I was honestly surprised, and I was even more surprised when I saw that the name as the director at the end of it as Len Wiseman, and I'm like, dude, I haven't, where has this guy been? What is he doing? And it's like he was kind of in a bit of a rut for a long time, and then he just kind of popped up with this movie. And I'm not gonna lie, Ballerina, I have to rewatch the John Wick movies, but this reminded me of why I love these movies. They do so many new and fun things with their action in that it does not feel dull or stale at all. And it's just like she's just going for it. I mean, I enjoyed it. Is the story anything to write home about? Not really, but I love her character. I think she's great. She's a great addition, and I love how they handle her character. She's very much her own thing, even though I think everybody knows by now John Wick is in the movie quite a bit. So, he's there for a while.
And I was a bit over the John Wick franchise. I enjoy it, but, we just got so many different installments into it, and I was like, well, what really can we do here? And I didn't really think too much of Ballerina coming out, but we were in the theater, and I can't remember what film it was, but, they played that trailer right in front of it. And I'll be honest, the trailer got me interested in it. So I was curious. I'm glad to hear that there's actual quality behind it, because everyone attached, actor wise, I would really enjoy the film. So I was, seeing Keanu Reeves as John Wick back is always a welcomed addition. So I'm glad that there's actually some quality there. This is a non-horror film that may get me to the theater to check this one out. So I'm glad that you said it was at least a positive review. And I honestly, I still have to check out. I think it's the fourth installment of John Wick. I still have not.
Actually, you don't, because my wife and I still have not seen that one. We're still sleeping on it. I don't know what it is, and we even went to the theater to see this, but we just suck. But it's one of those things where this movie, and I guess this isn't a spoiler. No, this would they have this out there, but it's this movie takes place between 3 and 4. So if
Okay.
you've seen 3 but not 4, you can watch this, and it makes no difference. So I really loved that, and it is really cool to see kind of the other perspective here, because if you've seen 3 and you know how it ends, it's kind of awesome that it's you get this little in between story now, and it's again I don't know what it was. I saw Parabellum and I enjoyed it. I think I liked probably 1 and 2 more. But then I don't know, maybe it was the long hiatus over from Parabellum to John Wick 4, and then having all these other John Wick-esque kind of movies. It did kind of make me not necessarily sour on it, but it's a little bit like, I can wait. I'm not missing anything special or anything. And then you just hear these amazing fucking reviews for both John Wick 4 and this one. And then you're like, okay, let's see what's going on. Hey, I mean, gotta say, dude, it was definitely it's one of the more memorable films I've seen this year for sure. It's the aces when it comes to the action. It's gory, it's over the top, it's kick ass.
And I think that was probably my problem as well. Just we got so many films copying the John Wick model that it just seemed like it almost sours you on even the original property that really, boasted the kind of where we're at with it now in terms of those action films. But this one, like, it had, I don't know, from that trailer, it felt like it had a flavor to it. It felt like it was rather interesting. It just didn't feel like another film. So again, it wasn't even on my radar until we checked out that trailer in front of whatever film we went to the theater to see. And it got me really on board. It really did feel like it wasn't something that was like, okay, we're just tacking this on because we need to get as much money out of the John Wick property as we can. It felt like, okay, we're really trying to make something in line quality wise with that. How was the theater when you went in? Was this opening weekend for it?
No, this has been out for almost a month. And
okay.
this I can't actually say. Our theater, granted, it was the bistro and it was like dinner time. So there was a lot of people there. But I want to say that we were probably 75% capacity. We were pretty full.
That's nice. Okay,
yeah, it was, and the audience, we all had a great time, because if you've been to the bistro here, and for those of you who live near North Canton, the Cinemark Bistro there in North Canton, you're kind of pretty. It's different than the Tinseltown up the street. The Tinseltown has the reclining seats. This one does too, but it has that orientation of classic movie theater where you're really just on top of everybody. But at Tinseltown, you basically feel like you have your own section to yourself. It's pretty well done. And I don't know, dude, it just felt like the energy of this movie was really catching with everybody. And it was a lot of, it was my wife and I's date night. And it seemed like it was a lot of couples and stuff like that, all ages going to see this.
Yeah, I think I might actually get out to the theater to see this one once things settle down a little bit, just because it does look like a lot of fun. Amazing cast in this one as well. So I'm excited. Action wise, it matches up, or would you say there's a little? Would you say even a little bit better?
It matches up. There's certain kills in this. It almost seems like they wanted to really challenge themselves with some of these, and I really love that, because all I'll say is you see multiple people die via grenade in this, and there are so many different ways that they do it. And I'm not just talking about hey, we threw one at somebody and they blew up. I'm talking about a lot of putting the grenade in mouths, in hands, breaking hands, keeping things on it. Just she's a demon, dude. She is awesome. I love her. And the thing that I also liked about her character is they never made her seem like this is just Lady John Wick. She struggles. She's really talented, but she's not like John Wick level of dangerous. You know, she's still very much like playing to her strengths. Like you could tell she's like an elite member of her class, but there's still lots of people above her as far as like this world of assassins goes. And that felt realistic. It made her easy to root for. And I just thought that Ana de Armas, like I love her a lot. I think that not only is she gorgeous, but you know, also she's got a really great knack for kind of digging into these characters. And I think she really found a franchise that I think she's going to walk away with for a while.
She's got a great range, and I was excited to see her as a centerpiece of the film. And
I still think her best performance, I will say, is Knives Out, but this is definitely something that like people will definitely remember her if they continue using her.
Knives Out is absolutely tremendous, but I'm glad that she's finding a rhythm. And I haven't seen it, so I have no idea if they're gonna do any sequels, anything like that. But if there's someone that's gonna be a competition for John Wick, I think this would be, perfect to get Ballerina 2. I'm excited to see it. Certainly once I clear my schedule.
Yes, definitely. I mean, hey, it'll probably be on streaming before you know it. So, but it's definitely worth going to see it in the theater. But let's catch up on a couple of these real quick. But yeah, Artie says on Monday, free lunch at work. So only good part of my day. Hey, that's great. I mean, hell yeah. I'm glad
gotta
that your
take
job
the
does
wins
that.
when you can get them, Artie.
Wolfie, hey, how are you doing? Well, Wolfie, how are you? Gory Tiger, what's going on? How's it going? Welcome, Penelope. I'm definitely not looking forward to Monday. I have jury duty. Oh, geez,
that's gonna be a rough one.
Yeah. And then Aki, what's going on? Welcome. Thank you. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed that flick. And just circling back finally to TCM here, last final thoughts. I think like I'm really okay with any of these teams getting this property that they mention. If I had to pick one, I really think that I think I'm going to go with probably Jordan Peele and the oh God, why did I forget his name? Top Gun, Twisters. The gentleman who's going to get it with A24. He's trying to put in a bid for it.
Is that Glenn Powell?
Yes, Glenn Powell. Okay. Yep, there it is. Yeah, Glenn Powell and A24, I guess, are also a part of it. They're together bidding on this. So I'm like, hey, I would be curious to see A24's take on this. I'd be curious to see Jordan Peele take this franchise. Because like the thing that's different about this for Jordan Peele that I would be curious to see, especially if he was directing it, would be like, dude, this is like a real blood and guts, like gritty, hands-on kind of movie. He hasn't really had a movie close to that since Get Out. You know what I mean? Like Get Out and then Us, it was more psychological. There was definitely a lot of physical stuff there, but it wasn't like, your typical kind of slasher. But this movie has to be like a grimy, gritty, like slasher movie.
Yeah, and you see, I don't know if Jordan Peele would be helming the project or Monkey Paw would
That's
just
what I'm thinking.
It.
I think he would just be like producing or writing maybe.
So, I think it'd be interesting. He just, obviously, you watch any of his films, he's got an expansive knowledge of horror and what works and presents it in different manners. So I think, Texas Chainsaw Massacre being produced or, if Jordan Peele decided to direct it, but I don't necessarily see that happening. I think he could put an interesting spin on Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think Taylor Sheridan, could really tap into, that Texas heat, that sweatiness, that grossness of it. I think bringing that grittiness could be interesting. I just don't know. I don't know what that would look like. I think he's on board to produce, so I don't think necessarily directing it. But that one, I don't really know. I think Osgood Perkins and Brian Bertino, that could be an interesting.
Oh, Brian Bertino.
Yeah. Would be.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. It's reported directing. So Osgood Perkins and Brian Bertino co-writing, and Brian Bertino would be directing.
That's what I want. I want that. I don't want anything else. I take back it all. I didn't look. I didn't do my research.
That one for me is the most interesting pick.
Yes.
I think because just the talent involved there and how they could play with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre property. I think they could really bring a lot of gravitas to it. I think that's what we need to really double down and really get the franchise back on track after so many misses with like Leatherface, the newest Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think we really need someone to restore the prominence of this franchise. It's ingrained in so many horror fans' DNA as to why they love horror in general. So to have talent like that attached to it with Osgood Perkins, he's got that off the wall nature to it, which we've seen in a lot of different installments of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, even seen in the original. So, having him co-write it with Brian Bertino, I think that one, they could have a really interesting atmosphere.
Yeah. And it's like, I have that complex kind of relationship that I feel like a lot of us have with Osgood Perkins, where it's like, I like most everything that he's done, like when it comes to just each of his movies. I think like there's just a hair, like a little bit left on the end there that I'm not huge on when it comes to like, especially Longlegs and the Monkey, where it's like, he's just got a little bit of something that I just don't mesh with yet. But I think he's definitely got an eye for stuff. I think the Monkey was a much more true to his style of like humor and filmmaking and kind of how he does things. I definitely really appreciated that. And I'm still a fan of Longlegs. Like, I still like it a lot. Actually, update for my weekend today, I had a terrible thing happen. I had ordered the 4K for Jaws, the Steelbook. I wanted it. I ordered it on Amazon back when it first dropped, and I wanted it. It was on its way. It got sent, and then it just like never showed up. And it's just been like, it was like a week overdue when it was supposed to arrive. So I was like, man, that sucks. And if I go on Amazon, it's all sold out. I can only find scalper prices. And I was like, well, shit, I guess, whatever. I already have the movie on 4K. I just really love the Steelbook. So I was willing to switch it out to, kind of upgrade it, I guess. And I went into Walmart today and I saw the Longlegs Steelbook on 4K, which looks beautiful. And right next to it, Jaws 4K Steelbook. I was like, fuck yeah. So I immediately canceled that order. If that movie shows up, I guess it shows up. But for now, I at least got one covered. So I was like, that's what I'm talking about.
That's a nice purchase there. You said it was from Amazon originally. Is that correct?
Yeah, Amazon. And
usually,
that's so rare.
If they lose a package like that, and half the time it'll just show up. To be honest, when we were starting the podcast, we decided on these Yeti mics, and I had ordered a microphone, and they shipped it out, and it was like, okay, it's arriving, whatever. Then just didn't pass that date, didn't show up. When we had a recording date, we were going to try to really start the podcast and everything, and I was behind, so I just reordered and cut my losses on that. Got the mic that I'm using actually right now, and then 2 weeks later, like legitimately 2 weeks later, the mic that was lost in the mail just shows up at my doorstep, and it's like, okay, well, now I just have two microphones. It's like, so you're probably going to get that like a month down the line after you've forgotten and not even expecting it, because I totally forgot that about the whole debacle that I had. So it's like, it's probably just going to show up on your doorstep like end of July.
Hey, maybe we could do a giveaway with it. That'd be cool.
There we go. Perfect.
We could give away a copy. That'd be sweet. Speaking of giveaways, I actually, I think next week we'll run one on here. So that way everybody gets a chance, because I have had 2 digital codes for The Drop, that Blumhouse movie. They sent us digital codes like a month ago, and I've been sitting on them still, and I'm like, every time I think about posting it, I'm like, I kind of want to like, give everybody the most opportunity to get them. So I don't know what to do. And then obviously we've had the ban and a couple of other personal things come up, so it's been always falling to the wayside. But I definitely have some codes we're going to give away. I heard The Drop was better than expected. Did you get to that one when it comes to our watches?
I have not yet.
Still
one of the lineups we're going to have on the channel. We're eventually going to get to it, hopefully, and maybe at the end of this month or beginning of July, we're going to do a little bit of a report card on just the state of horror in 2025 and what we've seen thus far. There's a handful of films that we've both just hadn't had a chance to see, The Drop being one of them. So we're gonna, check those boxes and get out a video there. So I don't know, maybe after we get that video out, that Sunday Scaries afterward, we could always do a giveaway.
I'd love to. Absolutely, yeah, because that's the thing. Like, I really like, the funny thing is we've been kind of very, we're being honest, of course, but we haven't been the kindest to Blumhouse. But they're always so like kind to us. They're like, hey, do you want to give away these movies to your audience and stuff like that? Do you want to do that? They're always inviting us to their screenings. And it's like, I think right now they're 1 for 5 or something like that, where it's like they've had one good movie and everything else has been garbage. It's
Man,
like, ugh.
they've had a rough go of it. It's like we're always willing to give Blumhouse the benefit of the doubt. I mean, we're losing a little bit of positivity, but we'll always give them a watch. They're always championing horror, which you can't ask for anything more. But you just got to get back on track with the quality. Unfortunately, it just is
Absolutely.
a lot of misses.
And that's the thing. We're gonna go to a Blumhouse screening this week because we got Megan, right? Tuesday.
Yes. Yep. Tuesday,
yeah.
we got Megan 2.0, which looks, I don't know. I've stayed away from a lot of the marketing on that one, but it seems very actiony.
Saw the trailer yesterday and I just don't know, man. Like it's like I'm kind of in the same boat that I was in for the first Megan. Real quick, everybody in the chat, are you guys planning on seeing Megan 2.0 or are you skipping Megan 2.0? I need to know like what the temperature in the room is like, because for me, I feel exactly how I felt with the first Megan, where it's like this could be either really fun and cool and exciting, or it could be absolute dog shit. And that's kind of the vibe I'm getting here, where it's just like, I don't know, man, this isn't looking great.
Yeah. For me,
feel it already.
I wasn't necessarily anticipating the original Megan.
No go. Oh man.
When it came out, I was like, okay, we'll give it a shot. We haven't had like killer doll film, in the theater in a very long time, other than like Annabelle, which I don't know necessarily if I consider.
It's not on the Chucky level,
Yeah, exactly. So a doll with personality that's actually going to be speaking, sentient in a sense. I was excited, to go check it out, but I didn't have the highest expectations of being a January release. But I walked out of there being way more positive on that film than I thought, just
Same.
because expectations were so low. And, I rewatched it for something that I'm working on right now. And I'll say, it does hold up decently. I think, it's not the greatest. It's never going to be my favorite horror film. But when we're talking about killer dolls and just not really having anything out there, I think, it's an adequate installment in that subgenre. So I think
Artie, come on, man. That don't be so mean now. All right. That's low.
Oh yeah, that oh my gosh. No.
Okay, we got Wolfie out here. She's ride or die for Megan here. Let's go.
And I'm gonna give Megan 2.0 a chance. I think I'm not going into this one. I'll be honest, from the trailer, I'm a little more negative on Megan 2.0, just because I don't think it's gonna hit the way the original Megan did. So I think I'm a little more negative. I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt, but I think the bar is a little bit lower than after seeing Megan, what I thought it was going to be.
Agreed. And Amy Wilder here says, are you going to be having regular live chat days? Yes. So the Sunday Scaries is now a live stream every Sunday. You're going to have us with our producer background buddy here, Adrian. He's kind of running the show. Honestly, I really love, I don't know how you guys feel about it. I like this. I like the bouncing back and forth. He's doing a good job. I think that it adds a different flow and flavor to this.
A+ job, Adrian.
Yep. And this is going to be every Sunday. And like I said, we're going to have guests and stuff like that too. We're going to be doing some things here, just kind of talking news, talking to you guys. So yeah, just we'll be here every Sunday now. So at 9. I'm sure the Blu-ray will it's like it'll be here quick, because they like the drop was like less than a month, I think.
These releases, they're getting cycled so in and out, ending up on streaming so quickly as well. I didn't even know. I don't know if you would say it was quick or not, but Presence just randomly showed up on Hulu, and I was like,
oh yeah, I saw that.
When did that film show up on Hulu? It's like everything's just. I'm like looking for everything, in 1 week it's not, and the next week it's right there with no notification. I'm like, okay, well. Makes things easier for me, but I think Megan 2.0 is probably going to be streaming on Peacock probably by August.
Probably. And that's the thing with streaming these days, is because we're usually, most everything we watch is for the channel. Like that's most like my life. I have to watch the movies for our lists, and then unless it's something I know like the back of my hand. But even for this Jaws video I just did, I had to I had to go and watch it a couple of times, like, and then editing it, you're basically watching it. So I was really just like so in a hole for like maybe 2-3 weeks, and I just went back on like to look for something to stream with my son, and it's like the Minecraft movies on HBO already. It's like, what is going on? Like this movie, like I thought was like ripping up the box office still. Like Jesus, like I don't know. Maybe I'm just old and out of touch, but I was just like, good Lord, these movies are just hitting so fast. And then Sinners has been on streaming premium for a little bit. I got a copy of that to show my wife and my cousin. They came over and watched it, and yeah, that was they enjoyed it. Good flick.
It's one of the top of the year, I think, and it's already hit streaming. Sinners is hit streaming or going to be?
It's so it's coming to HBO. Like
okay, that's
publicly.
the article that I had seen. Yep.
Yeah, on July 4th, and yeah, like it's premium right now. You can buy it for $20 or whatever.
Yeah, they're available so quick nowadays. It's like it's only a few weeks right before you can just purchase it digitally. So I mean, great if you don't feel like going to the theater. I wish that was available way back in the day. I was not a theater person up until we really started doing by admission only, and then getting into this is now the most I've ever been to the theater. I think prior to that, I was like, the only time I went to the theater was for Terminator 3 back in the day, and that was it.
Hey, Maddie, what's going on? And yeah, I know there's a couple of chats here I wanted to hit back here real quick. Let's see. Oh, that's great news. I'll be able to catch you. Yes, live every Sunday. Thank you, Penelope. We'll be happy to see you. There's this app I use to watch horror movies for free. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. And yep, then hello from San Francisco from Maddie there. What's going on? Thank you for joining us. Yeah, no, I'm definitely a little hesitant on Megan, but you know what? I'm not gonna complain if it turns out to be awesome, because that's kind of how the first one was, where it's like thought it was gonna be mid, turned out to be pretty good. You know, I wouldn't say it's the most memorable thing for me, but I did have fun. And hello from Sweden. What's going on? Yes, thank you for joining us all the way from Sweden. That's awesome. And then let's see, Luke, what's the next story up on the board here so we can change it up a little bit?
I believe on our little thumbnail there, we have Hatchet 5 we can start talking about. So, I mean, I guess an update, if you will, for more of a grim update. Adam Green was on a podcast, Talks from the Crypt, and they had asked him about Hatchet 5, and he said kind of basically, to narrow it down, is no Hatchet 5 until we are under better management, where the creative team is more than excited to bring Victor Crowley back to the big screen and get a feature-length film out there. But management right now is not what they would like it to be. So it's kind of just on ice until then. So really an update of nothing to update, because we're not really going to be seeing anything Victor Crowley probably in the near future, which is an absolute shame. We got to talk to Adam Green, which I don't think we have posted that interview yet. I think it's going to be up.
We have a segment of it out.
That's right.
In our Hatchet reviews. That's still it's in the Blu-ray reviews. The Steelbook.
That's what it was.
And we have a segment there, and then we actually have 2 Hatchet full reviews for the first and second film that are complete. Adrian edited those, and then I think it was just the lists popped off, and then it was kind of like, you know, unfortunately with YouTube, it's kind of one of those things where it's like you guys are seeing it right now on the channel with like kind of the well, I don't know if you guys are paying attention, but like the numbers have been lower, and I think it's because this past week we introduced a new form of content. We did the live stream with Evan and everybody on Monday, and then we're doing this, so it's like it's going to kind of be shifty a little bit. So any and all support and help as far as likes and, you know, checking out the videos, even if it's not your cup of tea, just clicking on it, I appreciate it. But you know, it's one of those things where it makes it risky to like kind of, once you have something that pops like that and actually starts to get people on the radar, to just like put out another video, because YouTube unfortunately is a fickle creature, and you can just do one little thing and it'll set everything, all your hard work, in the ground.
Yeah, it's tough to really kind of, you know, put your finger at the pulse of what YouTube wants sometimes, because we kind of really have to navigate how we release some content, unfortunately, because we have a lot of things, but sometimes they don't necessarily hit, or the algorithm doesn't work for us. But, you know, we're navigating it and trying to really figure it out. But, you know, in regards to Hatchet 5, I'll tell you, Hatchet as a franchise was so influential for me, for being that kind of catalyst for me checking out films that weren't necessarily at the, big budgeted films at the box office. I remember checking out Hatchet and then, going down the rabbit hole of checking out The Burning, Sleepaway Camp, and then really kind of getting into a lot of underground horror that I was not even aware of that was coming out. And then Hatchet 2 was a big release for me. And just being able to pick up that DVD when it was initially released, and, not knowing really anyone physically that knew of the Hatchet franchise, and showing a few people that one. So, I always equate Victor Crowley to, Art the Clown, and being able to be a horror icon and really bringing that blood and guts to it. So I'm desperately wanting a Hatchet 5. I don't think some of the later installments. I love Hatchet 1 and 2. I finally checked out Hatchet 3, and then I still haven't really seen Victor Crowley. But I think, getting them back on course and doing something with Victor Crowley, doing with the way Art the Clown has taken off, Terrifier franchise, and being able to go to the theater and have these limited engagements that they're there for 3 days, being able to do that with Hatchet would just be, oh my gosh, it would be such a surreal moment to sit in the theater and see Victor Crowley on the big screen.
I know when we were talking to Adam Green, about this very topic last year, and that entire interview is on the Patreon, which will be going live. I'm probably going to put it out next Sunday. I think we should finally be good to go. I'm just having a little trouble with uploading the unrated videos. So like there's certain reviews and lists and things like that where it's like we've talked about, especially the disturbing stuff, where we don't have any cuts, no blurs, anything. So it's like full uncensored stuff, because I know some of you have been asking for that. So that'll be live soon, and you'll be able to catch this full interview out. But yeah, I mean, like, he was very, like, not upfront about it, but he was saying that there was a little trouble in paradise behind the scenes that was keeping Hatchet from, kind of coming full circle. And then he also said that, hey, I just want to make sure when we're actually doing it, we got a story to tell and we have something to go with. And, it was interesting, but I'm definitely a huge Adam Green supporter. He's got a shark movie coming out, apparently, coming out soon too. Isn't that what they detailed in that article there?
Yes, I believe so. I think, which would be, that'll be interesting to see him.
The Ascent. Yes.
That'll be interesting to see him. Adam Green is absolutely one of the coolest dudes you could ever meet. Like, just being able to sit down with him and do that interview. And my gosh, sometimes, when we do these interviews, sometimes they're very, you have 15 minutes. That's not the person that we're interviewing, but that's more so their people
team.
Yeah, PR team saying you only have 15 minutes. And sometimes even doing interviews with directors or producers, anything like that, sometimes it's a little bit hard to feel that conversation flow, where it's like you ask a question and you don't really get an expansive answer. It's just kind of maybe a little bit colder than you would expect, and then you kind of have to move on. Adam Green, my gosh, at some points it felt like he was interviewing us, because of just how in depth he would go with answers, or how he would be able to pivot to other topics. Dude's absolutely the coolest. So I'm totally willing to check out anything he does. Shark films are a little bit of harder sell for me, but
Why?
you know why, Dylan. You know why, Dylan. Come on. And I'm excited to see what he's going to do, and I'd be even more excited if we do get another Hatchet film.
Absolutely. I did want to pop back to a couple things here. Remember having to wait sometimes years for titles to come out on VHS in the 80s. Yeah, my dad talks about that. How it's like you just like would have to see a movie in theaters, hope it stayed in theaters for months and months and months. And then sometimes if it left, it's like, yeah, for a long time, you just had to wait until it maybe came back, or, there was a reason to. And then when VHS came back, I think they weren't they like $80 or something like that?
I think they were like an insane amount of money back then.
They were like stupid high money when they came out. It was like crazy to think, now I see that and I'm like, oh, this is just a really cool, hard to find VHS tape, but no, that's nuts. And people, you think they were freaking out when those Terrifier VHS tapes were, 30, weren't they $30, $35?
Yep.
Yeah, which also I should say, big thanks to our boy Adrian there. I gave him a ring, and actually it was around my birthday was when they did those Terrifier 3 VHSs. So he was able to go down to his Walmart and snag one for me.
Got you, bro.
Appreciate it. appreciate it. It's back there in the background, actually just out of frame, but I'm moving them around a little bit here soon. And then let's see. I wait until y'all get a review or synopsis out before thank you. That's awesome.
It.
Definitely appreciate that. I'm very, very humbled by something like that. That's crazy. I was kind of late on the Hatchet sequels, but I enjoyed them quite a bit. Yeah, they're fun. I mean, Hatchet 2, I'm right there with Luke, one of my favorites. And then, Hatchet 3, I softened to a little bit. I wasn't big on it when I first saw it, but it just felt very different. And then, the Victor Crowley, it's kind of just whatever for me at that point. I'm just like, it is what it is. I can't really see myself going back and like voluntarily watching that all that often, because I think it just gets a little bit too meta in a sense. You know what I mean? Like it's very, very out there.
Yeah, I think I honestly I had tried to turn that one on. I think upon its Blu-ray release, we were working at a used media store at the time, so I had a copy of it, and I had a real trouble connecting with it. Whereas like I tried to give it a chance. I honestly watched about 10 minutes of it, and I think, I just turned it on to see if I get the feel, get the temperature for it, and it just had so much trouble connecting with that one. It just felt a little bit different than what I was looking for, especially from the first 2 installments. So I do want to go back to that one and check it out, just because we haven't had anything Victor Crowley in so long. So it would at least feel new to me, just to have a different story. But yeah, I've not heard great things about that film. So I'm hoping we can rebound at some point, where it's not probably going to be anytime soon, but eventually I'd love to say, hey, we're checking out a review at our local theater for Hatchet 5, and we get to go to the theater and check that one out.
Oh yeah, I hope so. And then we got Gremlin Ryo in the chat. What is up, my boy? How you doing? How are you guys? We're doing great, man. Sunday Scaries is back. We're definitely happy to have it in this new format. Going to be talking to you guys every week, which is going to be great. And then Penelope here's coming back saying, I recall paying $80 for Ralph Bastian's Wizards on VHS. Oof. My gosh. I mean, that's I gotta get in the context. I gotta understand what's going on here. We got home media for the first time, really. I think because isn't that like the first? Because Laserdisc, did that come before or after
what
VHS?
I don't know if they coincided. I thought they were kind of like going at it, maybe, and VHS won out over Laserdisc, but I'm not 100% sure at the time.
So it's like Blu-ray and HD DVD.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
that was my generation's. That
I'm curious for Penelope. Do you have anything from your original collection still? Because I'll tell you, I shared a story on one of our live streams about watching the original Predator on VHS all the time. I tried to acquire it from my mother, and she doesn't have it any longer. Unfortunately, broke my heart. So it's one of those films I remember from our original collection growing up, but I have nothing from our original collection, unfortunately. And I always regret, like, I'm a big wrestling fan, obviously. So I had thrown away all my classic VHSs for WrestleMania, and I always regret that. And I'm curious if you have anything still lingering around.
I feel like a fool too. I mean, there's still stuff like I right now, like I go to these little secondhand shops, and I'm trying to like kind of I believe in the full circle of life thing when it comes to your media or your collectibles and stuff. It's like you gotta there is time to have something and there's time to part with something. So I'm always kind of popping into these places and usually bringing in a tote or something, selling some of my stuff to hopefully get more stuff. And then it turns into me looking at all the VHS tapes, and I'm like, are at least the ones from my age that I want, like Jurassic Park 3 and stuff like that I grew up watching Shrek, they're usually like $2 or $3, which is awesome. And then I go looking for horror movies that I'm just like, these are the best ones to watch on my little tube TV over there. And they are always, now without a shadow of a doubt, they are always priced for collector pricing. And it's like, fuck.
Without question. It's like you can never catch a break. Nostalgic horror things are just so pricey. It's going to sting to admit this on a live stream here. One of the things that I had done, I'm like, in high school, you're just purging everything from childhood. And I have this visual. I remember doing it, having this big trash bag, and I threw away my entire Goosebumps collection because I was like, I'm never going to read these again. And I just tossed those straight in the garbage. And now I'm like always trying to peruse eBay to find great deals on lots for Goosebump books. and it's just like, my gosh, these things are so pricey. So that is something that it's like pouring salt in the wound every time I see a Goosebump book.
Hey, at least yours was not so bad. Totally disrespected mine. I did not care for them. My grandma had given me a bunch of them from when my cousins and I were kids, and like they went into our basement, and I remember our basement had flooded once, and like we lost a bunch of them. I think Adrian was living with me around that time too. So it's like we had that flood, and then like we lost a bunch of that stuff there. And then basically what was left, I think I had like maybe 4 or 5 books. And like my house, my dad's was kind of on a hill, and we renovated the basement to become like like my bedroom. And there was always this desk that was like slanted. So I took like 4 books, just random Goosebumps titles, and just put them under each one because like I'm a fucking kid and I don't know what to do other just to balance my desk. And they sat there until I moved out. Like, and then I think I threw them out. But it was like I didn't care about them. I was like, oh, it is what it is. You know, it's like you just don't realize how like you're gonna get 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years away from these things. And you're gonna be like, man, I miss that. Now that I have Atticus, I'm like, God, I'm such a moron. I should have kept those. Because then it's like when he gets older and he wants to start reading, those are perfect for him.
Yep, absolutely. That's where I'm at with it. I mean, like selfishly, I've wanted to collect Goosebump books, or, you know, Scary Stories Tell in the Dark, all the classic kid stuff. And I have a daughter, so it's like kind of, now I kind of consciously am like, oh, well, I have a reason to do it. I'm not being selfish anymore. I'm like getting these so that I can enjoy them, but also my daughter can sit down and read these, because it's like the collection's ever growing now. And, I go to the stores and see random books. They have a whole like Slappy World, things like that nowadays. And then you actually texted me Ollie's, our little, I don't know if that's a regional thing or not, store, but
I don't know.
they had like a big discount for just a bundle I was able to pick up. So it's like those.
Did you end up going and grabbing that?
Yep, I ended up snagging those. So
I think it was like $19.99 or
yeah,
something like that.
which for a bundle of books, and they were the classic titles too. So
but yeah, they were just reprints. Covers
Yep.
were reprinted, new art, but like, hey, at least you're getting the classic stories. That's what you want.
Yep, absolutely. So it's like, just as appetite for, we want this horror content. We want Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We want Hatchet back, in the theaters, but also just Goosebump books. Anything horror. We just want to consume it.
You know what I've been trying to find? At least the one movie I'm trying to find at all these, like, because we have a bunch of little shops, like the Attic over here in Barberton, and then you have the Attic in or the Retro Attic over in Akron, and a couple of these other spots. I mean, we have the Killer Video, which we still have to go to down here in Akron. It's that horror VHS museum. It's like that just opened up. That thing's awesome.
Yeah, that thing looks fantastic. Unfortunately, we haven't had the time.
I know, we got to get over there.
Yeah, because I mean, the thing just looks fantastic. I mean, there's classic VHS, but there's also old school posters, things like that. I think they even have a gift shop. It looked like with some.
They do, and that's what I want to do, because he's got these VHS tapes in bags, and it's like horror ones. So I'm like, is he selling them? Like, is there ones? Because I'm like, I would drop like, admittedly like $60 on something I'd really like to have on VHS in a decent quality, as far as like the cover and everything goes, and then just fucking like to support local horror, establishments all the way, baby. Let's go. So
yep, no, of course, it's like, you have that workaround. Be like, oh well, it's local. We can spend a little extra cash there. So I was looking in the chat. I do see Penelope has From Beyond on VHS. So my gosh, that would be a wonderful VHS to have. I've actually been looking for that one, and with no luck yet.
Evil Dead 2 signed by Bruce. Also,
my gosh, it's like those are some top-notch VHS to have in your collection.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely jealous on some of those there. Let's see here. Leonard Moulton's short review, The Target's so fun. Oh yeah, they're talking about The Targets. I don't know if have you heard of this one, Luke, from 1968?
No, I haven't heard of that one at all.
Let me see here.
That's a fresh one for me.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, it's Peter Bogdanovich. Yeah, I actually have a box set from Criterion from him. It's got like Easy Rider and The Last Picture Show and everything.
Yes.
Absolutely adore that.
I'll have to put that one on the watch list. I've never seen this one before.
I see it's got Boris Karloff in it too. Okay, yeah, hell yeah, that gives us something to watch. Yeah, and
It's on Pluto TV right now. At least that's what it says when I looked it up. So we'll put that one on the watch list.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm into it. Yeah, actually, there was a thriller I just watched the other day that I was going to try to bring up at some point on a future list here. It's kind of inspiring me to look at some smaller thrillers. Plus, you just did the whole home invasion, subgenre type, which that's a lot of thrillers in there too. But it's a movie. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, Luke. And Adrian, you should watch this one too. This is one that you'd probably like, but it's called Standoff at Sparrow Creek.
I've heard of it. I have not watched it though.
It's got James Badgedale in it, the guy from Empty Man, and it's fantastic. Very tense, very interesting, completely different than like really any kind of almost like conspiracy theory kind of thriller cop drama that I've ever seen. Like it's very, very interesting. Good cast too.
I'm in.
It looks like it's on Tubi right now, huh?
Yes, actually, yeah, that's where there was I think it was Dread Central or somebody put it on there.
Ralph Ineson
just up on their son. Yes. Wait.
Is that right?
Ralph Ineson? Hang on.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Right? Oh no, maybe
he's not.
Okay, maybe they. It said cast here, but maybe it's just related people then.
Well, yeah, no, it's just James Badgedale. He's the main guy, and then I definitely I'm growing to really enjoy his performances. I mean, like I remember him from being in Hold the Dark for a small performance, but it's like after The Empty Man, I'm just like, dude, this is an actor that I wish, like when we start making movies, that he'd be somebody I'd love to work with. I just think like he's just somebody who kind of gets that kind of gritty cop, like almost like retro 70s cop style of the way he carries himself and the way he performs. I really like it.
No, absolutely. I think you need a great actor to carry films like that. I've been seeing Dragged Across Concrete. I don't know why it just popped in my brain. People talking about that one lately, which it seemed like a lot of people didn't like it when it first came out, but
they didn't. There was a lot of political, kind of like social commentary stuff that people weren't big on because of like them being cops and them basically, I think, being like, weren't they like fired or like no, they were on suspension.
Yeah, suspension
for roughing somebody up. So it's like it was getting a lot of people very upset. Great movie though, loved it.
All right, well, I guess we'll move on. I don't know how long we want to go for, Dylan. You think?
I think we should at least get our 2 reviews done because we still have obligations for those, and then
yes, we do.
Once that's out of the way, I think we can kind of start winding down.
No, that works. You want to take yours first, or you want me to go for it?
Sure. So this is just a little quick segment. We're going to do this from every once in a while. Luke and I actually we had 2 movies that were basically given to us here relatively around the same time, but just because of the ban and everything going on this past month, and then we've had like I said, a couple things, like mostly just like with coming home from visiting actually Adrian in Tennessee at the beginning or the end of last month, to that storm that knocked out our power for a couple days, to then being banned, to then all this, it was just all piling up. So everything's been kind of like, stop and start. We didn't really get around to sitting down and getting dedicated reviews out to these, but we still want to cover them. And we figure, the easiest trade-off is just to do it on a live and then kind of like maybe clip it. So that's what this segment's going to be. It's not going to be an every week thing, but just every once in a while, we'll kind of play some here. So my film is called Found Footage, The Making of the Patterson Project. And I'm going to say, if you are subscribed to our buddy Alex's channel, he did a wonderful review of this as well, because him and I feel relatively the same about it. This is billing itself as a horror, but it's much more of a comedy. It's got some really cool, kind of neat stuff towards the end of it that definitely falls a little closer to horror, but this is first and foremost very, very dry humor comedy stuff. And honestly, I am a sucker for it. I thought that the chemistry between the cast, the jokes, and of course, I'm a big softie for Bigfoot. I thought it all worked here. So I was really a big fan of Found Footage. the making of the Patterson Project. Luke, do you have any questions about it or anything? Kind of changing this up a little bit.
No, I know you said it. So it's horror, but also it's more comedy, correct?
Yes, I would say it's comedy first is how I would put it for sure.
Gotcha. Because I had seen the trailer for it. I thought it was. I'm kicking myself for not being able to check this one out because it looks like it's rather well done.
Mm-hmm.
Is this just like a making of then pretty much, right? This is like
sort of, yes, you really get to see them kind of like they're almost like making a documentary about this journey they're taking to make their first film, which is going to be this Bigfoot movie. They're doing a found footage like Bigfoot movie called The Patterson Project, and they go out to literally make this movie, dress somebody up as Bigfoot, have this whole thing, and this is just kind of like, I guess, bonus content material is kind of how they're pitching it. So, you get that as kind of the framework.
So is there a story arc for it, or is it really just kind of more so?
Oh yeah, there's story.
Okay.
I mean, like it's not like all just randomly slapped together. No, there's a clear through line. It's definitely not trying to convince you that it's real found footage in any sense of the way. Like that's what I mean, like by that dry humor coming in, because like just the best example I can give, and this is like early enough in the movie that it won't spoil anything. They have this guy who owns like a furniture store, who is their like head producer, and he's funding part of the project. Well, they go to get some more funding from this old woman who buys a lot of furniture from him. And the way he got her to pledge funds to the project, and the director who's with him did not know this, he said that Alan Rickman was going to star in it. And unfortunately, for those of us who know, Alan Rickman died a long time ago. The guy who promised this did not know that. So they have to audition a guy at the end of the next segment where they're auditioning people for the movie to basically be a lookalike of Alan Rickman so they can have this old lady who's funding the film meet her. It's one of those, the joke is so long, it's such a buildup, it's such a like over the top goofiness that I absolutely adore it. It's very much like not as like cynical or as deep as like I Think You Should Leave, but it's similar enough to that kind of dry in your face comedy.
Interesting. I'm excited to see, how they tackle the comedy, especially knowing what to expect going into this one, that it's comedy first. When they deal with the horror aspects, I don't know if you'd be able to even tell us from without spoiling anything, like how are they able to inject, I guess, that into the story, just because it seems fairly comedy heavy. So
It's
whenever they do that, does it feel natural, or does it?
I mean, it definitely works because it's like it's still. I think the thing that's if you're looking for it to actually be scary or anything, you're never gonna. You don't even once get that. But it's interesting what they end up doing with it, because how they end up injecting the actual like horror. And I can't say much because I don't want to spoil what's going on, because the whole question is like, is there a Bigfoot or is there not? Kind of thing gets brought up, and I want to leave that for you to discover. But I like how they handle it. And, it's not something that's like super over the top, super crazy. It's just very awkward and very funny and very out there. It's extremely hard to discuss without really getting into kind of one big thing that I have to spoil. But trust me when I say that it's not going to scare you. It's not even going to really be all that like horror-y, like scary. It's going to be like horror, like fun, gory kind of stuff. Like that's all I'm going to leave it at. So
Gotcha. Well, it's like, Frogman, which we both really liked. I think that had a great element to it where the acting wasn't like off the chart amazing or anything like that.
Similar but different.
Yeah.
Frogman takes itself a tiny bit more seriously.
Okay, gotcha. Where it's like, that even had comedy to an extent, but, I wouldn't say it was comedy first. It kind of had, that lore to the Frogman aspect to it. And then when we get into it, I wasn't necessarily scared. I think there are a couple elements in there, a couple scenes in there that really do work from a horror perspective, but I wasn't necessarily scared the whole time. It was a little more when they show us a particular visual, you kind of like, ugh, that type of thing. So I think when you do it well, it can be really a knock out of the park, even if it is comedy heavy, especially if you're going with that gross out aspect for it. So I'm definitely putting this one on my watch list. I want to check it out. It looked interesting from the trailer and from the approach. So I don't know if this is streaming or is this straight out to the theater right
This
now?
is streaming. It's in select theaters and streaming right
Okay.
now. So, yeah, if you really liked Frogman there, Penelope, I think this one's fun. Again, it's a bit more comedy heavy. Frogman takes itself a little more seriously, but this one is certainly it's a gem of a film. You know, I think the last little piece I'll say to kind of really maybe sell this to the audience a little bit better on just what kind of movie this is like it's, you know, one of those things where it's like it's friends, like you're watching friends get together to make a movie, chase a dream. And you know, it's very much like a coming of age kind of goofy, over the top horror comedy. And it's like it's one of those. It's definitely something that like kind of has shades of things like Tucker and Dale versus Evil, that kind of humor and stuff like that. It's really well done. I would certainly find myself picking this up on Blu-ray because I think I would show this to people as like this is a really funny and heartfelt movie.
It certainly sounds interesting. I'm excited to add this one to my watch list and give it a watch just because, like I said, the trailer sold me, and I wish I had time to check this one out because honestly, everything that I've been seeing on this one has been really positive.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely worth your time. Definitely worth your time. But Luke, you also watched a movie. Why don't you take it away and let us know what you thought?
Yes, I did check out Alma and the Wolf here. And this one is available for digital purchase right now. It's also in the limited theaters. This one stars Ethan Embry, which I was excited to see. I love him. And every time I see him, I'm expecting some sort of range from his character, which we absolutely get here. I love the story arc for his character. But overall, I'll say the story does lose a lot of steam probably within that second hour of the film. Well, I'll say the first half hour to 45 minutes is fairly strong. And then, Dylan, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to go in depth for everyone here, but you'll know what I mean when I say this. This falls into the same traps of a lot of these types of films where we just are hoping for something and we get nothing. So this one really started losing steam. I think Ethan Embry puts on a great performance. He really does struggle with a lot of different things. His character does, and it has an authentic feel to it. So he really does bring it in terms of the acting and what he's dealing with. But moving from that aspect, it just feels really jumpy, and we're never really getting fully served in any other aspect for it. I think some elements of terror do work, but it's only an hour 25, but it starts to feel like a way longer film, unfortunately, especially when we get into the third act, that it just does a lot of things that you're questioning. And then when it comes full circle, you're like, okay, I understand the approach, but it just did not work for me. So this one, I was excited to check out. And there's a scene in here where this does take place in a small town. And I'll tell you this, Ethan Embry's a police officer, and he's watching his son play baseball at a high school baseball game, and he's under the bleachers with, his partner, and they're having a couple beers. And I sat there and I was like, if they really continue this feel and really open up this small town and deliver on what I'm hoping they're going to deliver on, I think this could be a great, great film. But I'll say from the small town perspective, it's not a bad aspect that they have. They develop some characters, but pushing forward and moving beyond that and to really serve what you're going into this film for, they just can't do it, unfortunately.
Yeah. My question would be on a spectrum from The Wolf of Snow Hollow to The Beast Within. Remember that one with Kit Harington? From
Yes.
Fantasia. All right. I knew I was going to have to describe that one a little bit. Where are we sitting with this, The Wolf? Where are we sitting?
The Beast Within.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it's not even somebody just dressed up. Because that's what it looked like to me in the trailer.
And doesn't that suck? In terms of a design, and there are a couple scenes where they shoot it. It's at least okay, but
Okay.
what you're saying, and I know exactly what you're saying, and I thought the exact same thing as well. But yeah, you're going Beast Within with this film, and
Damn.
yeah, it doesn't work. They tried to put maybe a little bit of a different spin more of a visual aspect to it. I'm not sure how to convey it without spoiling everything for you.
Yeah.
But it just is like I think on the page they were like, oh, this is gonna really hit with an audience, but visually, in the pacing of it, it's just like, this is. It seems like we're really trying to connect so many different dots in this. Especially there is some hand holding that goes on, which I think if you're watching the film, you can really just connect those dots on your own. But visually, they decide to start showing it to you, and it's like by then you've already pieced together everything. You already know it, but they continue to hand hold you. And then there's a scene at the end, which is it's a compelling scene, but it just seems like it lost so much steam by the end of it that you're just not interested in what they're serving you.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, I don't know really what I was expecting with this one. It was one I was curious about because, obviously anytime I see a werewolf or wolf of creature of some sort, I get interested. But yeah, this was one that unfortunately it just looked like it was going to kind of fall the way of what I thought was going to be Wolf of Snow Hollow. And I was just like, how are you going to tell that story any different? And I'm actually someone who likes Wolf of Snow Hollow a lot. So, it's different than what it's normally serving. And I think that I like it for that, but I absolutely understand why, especially being a hardcore werewolf fan, why that would turn people off. So that's unfortunate. We both watched two cryptid-esque movies. Mine was definitely, I think, the stronger of the
winner.
two. But I think that at the end of the day, will I catch myself maybe checking this out if it's on Tubi and I don't have anything to do, and maybe I'm looking for some kind of B horror movie stuff to throw together for a list sometime down the road? I could give it a shot and see where I'm sitting.
And I could say conceptually there it didn't work for me, but Ethan Embry's performance, you can watch it for that. I can recommend that certainly. I'll say this guy needs to be in a lot more prominent horror stuff because the range on him is absolutely insane. He's the shining light for this one, and he more than holds up his end of the bargain. And when you look back at his catalog of some of the horror stuff that he's done, he can do it. And I'm really hoping that in the next few years he gets a couple of roles that really get him some traction in the horror space, and we'll be sitting here saying we can't wait for the next Ethan Embry project that he's top billed at, because I think he more than deserves it, and I love his performance here.
Absolutely, man. I'm down. But yeah, that's our reviews for those. So you can check those both out, I believe, on streaming right now. Because Alma and the Wolf, is that in select theaters as well, or is that one just straight to streaming?
Select theaters right now, but also you can purchase it digitally as well.
There you go. But yeah, no, that was awesome. I definitely, like I said, when we kind of have movies like this that might slip through the cracks, or if something kind of comes up we can watch it, but to dedicate a full blown its own review and everything, we kind of want to break this up a little bit, so that way we have a little bit of I guess a smattering of styles when it comes to how we're reviewing and looking at things. So glad I subbed to the channel this year. Well, thank you, Darkroom Reviews.
Absolutely.
Definitely. And sub to Darkroom Reviews as well, because
always
I like his
commenting on our
videos.
stuff, and lovely. Thank you for all the support all the time. Anytime we have a review up, I always see a comment. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of familiar faces here. All of you guys, thank you so much for all your support on the stuff we've been doing. Obviously, since going full time, it's been a journey so far already. It seems like it's been front loaded with a lot of slip ups and mishaps, but I think we have weathered the storm, should say. This really feels like it to me, at least getting Sunday Scaries. I don't know how you feel, Luke, but I feel like getting this done right now, I feel really good about it.
Absolutely. I think this was very therapeutic, more therapeutic than I thought it was going to be. Just being able to interact with everyone and just casually chat, because we don't do this that often anymore.
No, and we need to.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like every time we hop on, we have a little bit of engagement, and then usually it's a review or something like that. We very rarely casually talk about horror news, other than trading some time. A chat or something like that, or just an article, something like that. So being able to actually sit down, dedicate some time, talk about some horror news, even though we didn't get through everything we wanted to, but we'll save that for some chatty Cathys, obviously. But there's not much you can do about that. But we'll have a bunch more next week. This is a really good time. I love just being able to interact and really getting people in here now. I remember when we were doing this, and I think we were honestly playing to ourselves at the time, where it was just like there was no one in here except El Royale.
El Rayo. Yep, El Rayo was there. He was our boy from day one. So definitely go subscribe to Gremlin Rayo. He was El Rayo back then, but it's Gremlin Rayo 22. Been here since the beginning. Love that dude. Absolutely, so glad to see you, buddy. But yeah, I mean, this was fun. I definitely hope that we get more people here every week, and like this was amazing for the first show too. Like, I mean, just having, I think we had like 35 people at one point here. We'll see it afterwards, but that's crazy. For us alone, because we're so used to doing that co-stream with like Evan and Alex and everything, and there's such a smattering of reach when it comes to each of those channels that you never know what you're going to get. So this was humbling and awesome, and yeah, I'm excited to do this every week. And then we got Adrian here as well. Sir, thank you. You crushed it, my boy. This was awesome. I was really happy with how this looked.
Appreciate you, campers, dreamers, babysitters. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. And he will have a camera next week. We think
if we get 60K monthly subscribers.
Oh, that's right. 60K subscribers. Okay.
Tell your friends, tell your family,
he's
tell your schools, tell your job.
There you go. But yeah, thank you, Penelope. You contributed so much tonight in the conversation. And yeah, we'll be doing more of these with obviously some giveaway stuff. We'll have some announcements on here. But yeah, this is it. Every Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern, we will be here talking some horror news. And yeah, honestly, this is like the ideal format. Just we have a couple of stories lined up, some things that we have to get to, but I really just enjoy sitting down and getting to talk to you guys, because that's really where I think the most fun comes from. So if we can keep that going every week, that'll be a little bit of a dopamine rush to kick off our Mondays. So I hope that we get that. So thank you guys so much. I guess that's it for me. Luke, you got anything?
Yeah, just this was really exciting. I loved it as well, just being able to interact. Like Dylan said, we'll have a couple stories prepared, but we're really going to just hope you guys show up and we can have that interaction with you guys, because that's what we absolutely love. We love getting the feedback and getting those suggestions, because, I mean, obviously we love making horror content. We want to know what you guys want to see and what you guys want to see us talk about. So, yeah. Make sure you're back here next week with us, because this is the start of a long reign of Sunday Scaries.
Absolutely. Making it a mainstay once again. So, alrighty. Until next time, guys. I'm Dylan Newell.
I'm Luke Janesco.
Adrian, you go ahead and throw yourself in there as well.
And I'm Adrian Mars Jones.
And yeah, everybody stay scared.